can!
It's almost!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. Right, on the show today, the Indian men's cricket team ushers in a new era, announcing Shubman Gill as captain of the ODI format as well. But experts are fuming. They're questioning if India is planning for the next phase at all. We get you the lowdown here. USA's Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura flings D. Gukesh's king into the crowd after defeating him, sparking huge outrage. Has chess left the bylanes of grace for the more theatrical and dramatic approach? If so, where do they draw the line? And India's biggest haul at the Para Athletics Championship was marred by an unfortunate incident in the country's capital. Are the repeated logistical faux pas going to place a roadblock for India's quest of becoming a sporting power? All that and more heading your way. But first, the headlines on Sports 360. Starting with cricket and the Women's ODI World Cup, India beat Pakistan by 88 runs to maintain a perfect 12-0 record in the format. Put into bat first, Harleen Deol's 46 powered India to 247. Kranti Good and Deepti Sharma picked up 3 wickets apiece to dismantle Pakistan for just 159. With 2 wins in as many matches, India are top of the table. Football next. The Premier League saw a major shake-up over the weekend. Manchester City moved to 5th spot over a 1-0 win over Brentford. Erling Haaland scored the only goal of the match. Meanwhile, Chelsea beat Liverpool 2-1 after Estevao scored the winner in stoppage time. With the Reds dropping points, Arsenal capitalised and moved to top of the table. The Gunners eased past West Ham 2-0. Over in Formula One, Mercedes driver George Russell won the Singapore Grand Prix. Red Bull's Max Verstappen came in second. But the drama erupted for the 3rd spot. McLaren's Lando Norris grabbed the final podium position. He narrowly avoided a crash with his teammate Oscar Piastri. With a 3-4 finish, McLaren claimed the constructors' title. To tennis, world number 2 Yannick Sinner crashed out of round of 32 at the Shanghai Masters. The Italian suffered cramps in his thigh in the 3rd set and retired hurt, limping off against talent Grexpo, with the scores reading 1 set apiece. Meanwhile, former world number 1 Novak Djokovic has entered the round of 16. The Serb beat Yannick Hanfmann in a grueling 3-setter. After losing the first set, Djokovic bounced back to win the match 4-6, 7-5, 6-3. And US President Donald Trump has announced the date for the 2026 White House UFC fight. The event will take place on the 14th of June next year, on Trump's 80th birthday. Reports say the UFC will spend $700,000 to replace the South Lawn grass after the event. The participants are yet to be confirmed. The new era is here. Shubman Gill is captain of the ODI format in cricket as well. The squad for India's series against Australia, which starts sometime in October, was announced over the weekend, and you saw a new captain, a new vice captain taking charge. So what does this mean for the 2 senior-most players who made it to the squad, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, and what has the reaction been like for what's clearly been a change of guard? Now, while this was imminent, the writing was pretty much on the wall, given the kind of noise that we were all hearing post the Champions Trophy and, of course, heading into and out of the Test series against Australia. This was clearly the reality check that everyone was dreading to see. So how does the squad look like? One of the biggest and, of course, well thought out move is definitely to make Shreyas Iyer the vice captain there. It's been a tough last few years for him. He's found himself on the wrong side of things for a while. So seeing him up there, being given a step up and been given that additional responsibility as deputy is indeed heartening in that entire setup. It's a very prolific looking batting lineup if you look at it. Of course, you see Rohit and Virat, and that name and lends to a lot of impact there. But of course, the one name missing in that lineup as a batter is Rishabh Pant, who's still recovering. You clearly don't see also the backup keeper being Sanju Samson, despite doing all he can to claim spot there. And of course, over in that bowling lineup, there is a bit of inexperience because you're clearly missing someone like Jasprit Bumrah, who we won't see too much of as is, given the packed calendar and how we need to manage his injury, post-injury time as well. So, of course, you need him for those big tournaments. So, needless to say, this is what it looks like now, keeping 2026-7 World Cup in mind. Which is what brings me to the point about Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma's presence in the squad. Well, actually, the playing 11. Safe to say, when you have these two stalwarts, it won't be to warm the bench. So when you look at this as a preparatory squad leading up for that big World Cup in 2027, how does it really pan out? Sunil Gavaskar, former India captain, currently commentator, vehemently spoke out against their inclusions, saying they were just taking up spots.
I'm pretty certain that if this were a trip to Zimbabwe or the West Indies, both of them would not have been available. It's not easy to be playing just 7 or 8 ODIs while preparing for a World Cup. They will have to play the Vijay Hazare Trophy. That's one way to stay in trim and maintain match practice.
Gavaskar clearly not happy with the way the squad looks. The next 2 years are critical when you talk of preparing yourself for the big one, the one that India heartbreakingly missed out on when they lost to Australia in the final. So oddly enough, the chief of selector though also agrees that time is less and fixtures more so.
It's a format that is played the least now. So you don't get that many games to give the next guy that much time to prepare himself or plan. The last one-day game we played was in March at the Champions Trophy. And the next one we play is on October 19. We'll start planning for the World Cup to come.
So you're aware that the number of matches you'll get in this format is lesser compared to the other two as the months go on. Now, isn't that more the reason to get the right kind of combination, or at least closest to the kind of combination that you know for sure that you will go after as soon as possible?
It's very difficult to have 3 different captains for 3 formats in terms of not just selectors, but more importantly, even for the coach to plan with 3 different people is never easy. At some stage, you've got to start looking at where the next World Cup is.
Well, it seems to be a bit of both, seeing this side as well as that. So while you do acknowledge one aspect of it being difficult planning for the road ahead, what about the certainty of which of the 2 seniors or the 2 seniors who will not play enough cricket by the time 2027 comes? You do admit that the chances and opportunities are less as is for those who are already part of the rigors of international cricket, but for those who aren't, it's even lesser, which is what the point Sunil Gavaskar is trying to make. So who have to be at their, you're also looking at these 2 batters having to be at their peak, given the kind of talent that's knocking on the doors. It's tough when especially you look at the kind of promising talents you have everywhere, just waiting in the wings, especially in Indian cricket. That's what Gavaskar is hinting to. So what's the plan really? The one good thing about this though is that Shubman Gill will get that guidance that he truly needs. Not that captaincy is new to him. We've seen him do that at the IPL. We've seen him do that in tests as well. He was under the pump during the series against England, but came out on top in the manner he knew best, being himself. Here he will have Rohit Sharma by his side. That's really essential as well, at least for now, to help him navigate the initial phase of what is going to be captaincy in a different format. Even so, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli don't look like they are going anywhere. They're hoping their social media activity is enough to shut people like Gavaskar and many others down about how fit and ready they can be come 2027. The point they're trying to make is as leaders in that batting lineup, they will be key and they're willing to go the distance to stay that way come 2027 World Cup. So while most of the squad selection spells somewhat the right kind of thinking, looking at the way forward for Indian cricket, few questions remain unanswered. And maybe some of those answers could come during the series against Australia. Question is, will action be taken to course correct at that point when you look at Mission 2027? The world of chess, once the temple of calm minds and quiet brilliance, seems to be transforming into an arena of brash and provocative displays. American Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura defeated India's D. Gukesh at the checkmate in the US. But what followed shocked everyone. Hikaru picked up Gukesh's king from the board and flung it into the crowd. A moment that lasted just seconds but stunned the global chess community. Was it passion? Was it provocation? Or was it the moment when chess, in its quest to stay modern, lost its charm? Now, in most sports, a little swagger, some fiery celebrations, a gesture of dominance, it's all part of the game. You see it in football, in basketball, even in tennis. Fans feed off emotions. Rivalries thrive on that adrenaline rush. But in chess, where silence is sacred and respect is non-negotiable, tossing the king off the board is like ripping up the rule book of dignity. And social media reacted exactly as you'd imagine, with a lot of fury. But this wasn't just about one match. This is about where chess itself is heading. Because this isn't an isolated incident, it's part of a pattern. We've seen it building up over the last few years. Remember Magnus Carlsen at the eSports World Cup when the crowd booed him during his game against Nakamura. Carlsen turned, put a finger to his lips when he took control of the game. The crowd roared louder, and not long before that, Carlsen faced Gukesh at the Norway chess tournament. When the young Indian beat him, Carlsen smashed his fists on the table. It was unfiltered emotion, raw, something old-school purists weren't used to seeing in this sport. So clearly the calm that once defined chess is being replaced by drama, confrontations, theatrics and spectacle. Tension isn't just being witnessed on the board anymore. It's in the post-game gestures, the stare-downs, the tweets, and live stream reactions. The sport too has evolved, trying to get the fans as involved as possible, like the confession cam, a tool that can only fuel all of this. And now with Hikaru's gesture, throwing the king, we may have reached the breaking point. Now this act might be symbolic, a literal representation of how aggressive and entertainment-driven chess has now become. But it also reflects an identity crisis, because this sport, once revered for its mental discipline and timeless grace, is now walking a fine line between evolution and erosion. The streaming era has made chess cool again. Sure, Twitch, YouTube, viral moments, they've pulled millions of young fans back into the game. Players like Hikaru have become global celebrities. They've turned 64 squares into a stage watched by millions. But with that, chess has picked up something else too, the need to perform, to entertain, to shock. And that's where the dilemma lies, because when entertainment takes precedence over elegance, when victories come with taunts, the very soul of the game starts to fade away somewhere. And that's why this moment matters. Look at the contrast though. On one side, Nakamura, fiery, emotional, unapologetically dramatic, leading the charge for new age chess. On the other, you see someone like Gukesh, very calm, focused, quietly resetting his pieces even after all of this. No retaliation, no reaction whatsoever, just calm. It's almost poetic, the clash of generations, of ideologies, of what chess once was and what it's turning out to be. So where does the sport head from here? Does it fully embrace this chaotic, theatrical version of itself, where grandmasters are rock stars and drama fuels engagement, or does it take a step back to restore the very thing that made it timeless in the first place, where silence, not showmanship, ruled? Because in the end, no matter how viral the clips go or how loud the applauses come, the chessboard remains unchanged. It's 64 black and white squares, demanding respect, patience, and of course, humility. And maybe that's where the future of chess lies, not in the extremes, not in the theatrics alone, but in finding that perfect balance between fire and focus, passion and poise, where true champions don't necessarily need dramatic interludes to show they are kings or queens. India's proudest sporting moment has been overshadowed by an embarrassing episode. Even as the nation celebrated its best ever medal tally at the World Para Athletics Championships, an appalling incident at the Delhi's Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium dampened what was otherwise a very successful event. Two of the foreign delegates were bitten by stray dogs inside the very premises of India's national stadium, and now one question echoes: can India truly become a sporting powerhouse when such organizational lapses persist? In recent years, India's sporting landscape has changed dramatically. Our athletes are no longer just participants, they are top contenders. From the World Athletics Championships to the Para Athletics World Championships, Indians are not just showing up, they're stepping up. New faces, new records, more medals. India's sporting graph is rising and rising fast. But here's the tough question: is performance alone enough to fulfill that dream of becoming truly a global sporting nation? Because if excellence on the track is not matched by excellence off it, then it's a half-finished race. The Para World Athletics Championships was just one milestone. India now wants to host the Commonwealth Games and, of course, the Olympics too in the near future. But can that vision hold ground if chaos, mismanagement and negligence continue to mar the whole system? This dog bite episode isn't an isolated one. Right now, India is co-hosting the Women's World Cup, a historic event, the biggest in women's cricket's history. But the tournament saw last-minute venue changes and delayed ticket sales, chaos that could have been avoided. Before that, a fire broke out at the Chennai Grandmasters chess venue, delaying the tournament by a day. And late last year, after seeing a Diljit Dosanjh's concert at the very same venue, Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, the facility was left in ruins. Seats broken, turf destroyed and toilets trashed. All of this at one of India's premier sports facilities and in the national capital. Is this really what we want to project to the sporting world? And let's not forget, the world still remembers the 2010 Commonwealth Games debacle. Snakes in bathrooms, leaking ceilings, filthy rooms, the images that haunted India's global reputation for a while. Those are, of course, visuals from what happened at the Commonwealth Games years ago. 15 years on, and the story keeps repeating itself, just with new faces and new lapses. That's not progress, that's paralysis. And when something goes wrong, what happens next? The Sports Authority of India points fingers at the municipal corporation, the stadium management blames private contractors, and in the end, no one takes complete responsibility. Each one passes the buck while the problem continues to persist. So here's the irony: while the athletes were making history, this incident flew under the radar. Every time India wins, we forget the cracks that are lying beneath the surface. Every time the tricolour flies high, we look away from what's broken below. But this time the world is watching, because in international sport, reputation matters. When foreign coaches are being attacked inside a top facility, that's not a minor glitch. And the next time India bids for a major event, this will be remembered. So what's the way forward? If India genuinely wants to be a global sporting hub, intent must meet infrastructure. Regular inspections, strict hygiene and safety standards to be maintained, security clearances before every international event, and most certainly accountability. No more apologies, or we'll look into that. If someone must own the problem and fix it. Because you can't become a sporting powerhouse by just producing champions. That is not enough. You need systems that protect them, that respect their achievements and match their level of commitment day in, day out. India's para-athletes have shown what it means to fight, persevere and triumph. But incidents like this reminds us our sporting system still struggles to show that same level of professionalism and discipline that our athletes embody every day. We can celebrate medals all we want, but we'll keep running two races, one on the track, of course, for glory, and the other off it, against inefficiency, neglect and apathy. If India truly wants to be a global sporting power, it must win both. Time for Last Serve. Rugby showed its lighter side. A popular toy company decided to honor some of the world's top rugby stars in the most unique, and playful way possible. The prize, their very own Barbie-inspired figurines. The players' reactions were priceless, a heartwarming twist to the sport that is otherwise known for raw intent and grit. Watch how these tough rugby icons melted when they met their mini Barbie selves. That wraps it up here on Firstpost. I'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, do take care. Bye-bye.
Want the facts?
The latest developments?
News that gets straight to the point.
Well, we've got all three just for you. This is Firstpost Live, a brand new show, your window into what really matters.
Don't miss it.